Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Miss Noel. Today, we're going to go over Unit 4 for the test. We're going to do our guided notes together. So first thing I need you to do is put your first name, last name, and the date. Let's get started. So animal groups. There are many different types of animals, right? They come in all different shapes and sizes. And scientists have sorted them into groups based on their common traits, so things they have alike together. So some animals we know have hair or fur. They breathe through lungs and they nurse their young through milk. That would be a group of what? Mammals, that's right. So now let's look at the type of animals. There are invertebrates right here, which are sort of like insects. They don't have a backbone. So those would be butterflies and ants for different examples. See if you can come up with any other invertebrates or insects. Next, we have fish. Fish have scales, sort of like these. They are flying fish and a seahorse. Those are examples of some fish you might see. Next, we have amphibians. For those, you think of frogs and salamanders and newts. Those are amphibians. They can actually breathe through their skin. It's really, really cool. Frogs can breathe through their skin. Next, we have reptiles. These also have scales. We're going to learn about them in the next unit. For example, the cobra and the Gila monster. So those are things like crocodiles are in there too. They also have scales and they sort of seem alike. That's why they're grouped together. Next, we have an example of an opossum and a bat. Now, what does something those animals have in common? They're both what? Mammals, that's right. So go ahead and write mammals in this box. M-A-M-M-A-L-S. And next we have a gray-crowned crane and a magpie. Now let's think, those two animals both have feathers. They have beaks instead of mouths. And these animals can both fly. That's right, they are birds. B-I-R-D-S for birds. So that's what you should have in those two blanks right there. The first one are mammals, the next ones are birds. So let's scroll down and see what we have there. Let's scroll down and we have, Noelle forgot her eraser. Oopsies. Let's take a look at the group of mammals. Let's take a closer look. So there are 4 different types of mammals. I'm going to bring you a little bit closer. There are 4 different types of mammals. We have land mammals, which live on the land, marine mammals, which live under water, marsupials, which have a pouch, and monotremes, which lay eggs. That's right. All 4 of these categories are all mammals. They're all mammals. Land mammals are mammals, marine mammals are mammals, marsupials are mammals, and monotremes are mammals. If you have the packet that we did in class, Miss Noel made a mistake and she wrote mammals again, so you can cross it out and write monotremes. All right, let's scroll and see. Let's talk about mammals specifically. So this says mammals. All mammals have blank or blank. I want you to pause the video now and see if you can fill this out all by yourself. All mammals have blank or blank. They said all mammals blank air through blank. Blank their young with blank, and do not lay blank, except for 2. I'll go ahead and pause now and see if you can come up with the right answers. Okay, let's check your work. So all mammals have blank. They have hair or fur. All mammals have hair or fur. They breathe air through lungs. So they breathe air through lungs. They nurse their young with milk. I wonder if you can tell me what nurse means. Nurse means to feed, that's right. And then next, they do not lay eggs except for 2 types of mammals. And those 2 are called monotremes. We'll get into that more later. So that's right. You should have all mammals have hair or fur. They breathe air through lungs. They nurse their young with milk. And they do not lay eggs except for 2. Now let's take a look at the different types of mammals. This first group of mammals, I want you to see if you can do this by yourself. I'm just going to tell you examples of the animals, and you can see if you remember what type of mammals they are. Their bats are in here, nutrias, beavers, and armadillos, and anteaters, and gorillas. Let's see. That's right, they're called land mammals, which is in their name. They live on the land. Land mammals, that's right. Now, Land mammals. There are different types of land mammals. We can go into depth with them now, because it's always good to remember to go over what we did in class. So I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller so I can annotate or write around the sides. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab my eraser. Uh-oh. Just kidding, was still alive. She couldn't find her eraser. I'm sorry. Okay, I was trying to be quick. Well, let's see. You all know this. The bat is the only mammal that can fly. That's right. It's the flying mammal. So bats are mammals. Elephants are long trunked. They have a trunk that they use to eat, or as we saw in our video, some of you saw they can paint. Some elephants have been taught how to paint using their trunk. These are over here hooved mammals, hooved mammals. Mammals that have hooves or their feet are shaped like this. Their feet are shaped like this. Those are hooved mammals. Examples of hooved mammals are sheep and goats and horses. Those are all hooved mammals. Next, we have over here, we have our beavers, our nutria, our chinchillas, our rat, squirrel, and porcupine. Those are all rodents. Rodents. They are called rodents. Usually when people hear the word rodents, they think of pests. Next, we have these friends out here that only eat meat. And remember that carne in Spanish means meat. So these are our carnivores. Our carnivores. Good job. And last but not, I forgot one. Our friends with the two-toed sloth being the slowest mammal. These are our toothless mammals. Our toothless mammals. And last but not least, we have our primates. Our primates. Primates look like monkeys. And they have very big head, well, very big brains, which means they're very smart. We belong to this category. Humans are a type of primates. And as Ms. Noel said, primates don't drink prime. I was just kidding. So go ahead and you should be familiar with all of these. Ask your grown-ups at home, or maybe if you have siblings, so if your siblings to quiz you, ask them, say, is a chimpanzee a mammal? Or if you want to make it harder, you can say, what type of mammal is a chimpanzee? For that question, you would say primates, and they're land mammals. They're both primates and land mammals. So let's scroll down. We're going to go next to these fun little mammals over here. You all got this really fast. These are called what? Marine mammals. Marine mammals. Good job. And they live underwater. They live underwater. Marine mammals live underwater. Examples are the dugong and the manatee. Those are actually the only herbivores. Herbs are a type of plant that help to season and give flavor. So these only eat plants. We have our blue whale, our sperm whale, beluga whale, humpback whale, narwhals, our sea otter and polar bears, elephant seal, leopard seal, our walrus. These are all mammals that live underwater, so they're called marine mammals. Marine mammals. I would also have an adult or a sibling, someone help quiz you. Have them ask you, have them ask you what category these mammals belong to. Are they marine mammals? Are they marsupials? Are they monotremes? Let them quiz you so you can get really, really good in preparation for our test. Next are these marsupials. That's right, marsupials. Australia being home to the most marsupials in the entire world. Australia, which is the only country that's also a continent, is home to the most marsupials. And remember, marsupials have a pouch. That's right, they have a pouch. You should put pouch here on this line. And on this line too, you should write marsupials again, just to practice writing that word and make sure you are familiar with how it looks and how it's spelled. Marsupials, we need to remember that koalas are marsupials. So the wombat, the numbat, the kangaroo, the opossum, the Tasmanian devil, and the sugar glider. Those are all our mammals, and the Tasmanian tiger, which is the only marsupial that is extinct. It's fork. So they have a pouch, and they give birth to babies that are not fully developed. So remember your marsupials. Next, we have our friends that are atypical. That means they're not very normal, they're abnormal, they're different. These are the only mammals that can lay eggs. They're called Monotremes, that's right. Monotremes. They lay eggs, that's right. Huevos. Monotremes, that's right. Monotremes, they're very special. There are only two types of monotremes, the echidnas and the platypus. There are two types of echidnas, though, the short-beaked echidna and the long-beaked echidna. Lastly is the duck-billed platypus. Are these three things mammals? Yes, they are. They are monotremes, and monotremes are a type of mammals. So I want you all to remember my three M's. My three M's are mammals. I have the marine mammals like the seal, the walrus, the blue whale. I have my marsupials, which have a pouch, like the kangaroo, the koala, and the sugar glider. And then lastly, I have my monotremes. Those are my echidnas and my platypus. Please remember these three M's, Your marine animals, which live underwater, your marsupials, which have a pouch, and your monotremes, which lay eggs. Those are very important. Next, we're going to move on from mammals, a completely different category of animals. So this means these are not mammals, they're a completely different type of animal. These are your birds. That's right, birds. All birds have feathers. That's right. They blink through blank. They breathe air through what? Lungs. That's correct. They breathe air through lungs. Now, I had someone in our second class who's very smart said, wait a minute, this is kind of confusing because don't mammals breathe through lungs too? That's absolutely correct. And he said, wait, but the mothers lay eggs for birds. That's true. And some mammals lay eggs. Well, that's completely right too. But remember that scientists categorize animals based on their similar traits, what they have in common. And birds and mammals have less in common than they do have more things that are different than they do alike. So they're separate because not all birds have, well, not oopsies, not all mammals have feathers, right? None of them have feathers. Not all mammals lay eggs, only two, right? The echidna and the platypus. So we need to be careful. Remember that birds and mammals are completely separate. They're not the same. Lastly, they have beaks instead of mouths, correct? They have beaks instead of mouths. I want you to please be familiar with the birds that can fly. And I have a special story to help you remember the birds that can't fly. And remember that any bird that is not on my Pocky Island can fly. So if they're not on Pocky Island, they can fly. Let's take a look at the birds that do fly. The hoopoe, the maggie, the gray-crowned crane, the rainbow lorikeet, the vulture, chicken, lilac-breasted roller, spoonbill, and the flamingo. And on that list too would be a turkey, a duck, what's another bird, Miss Noel? An American robin, a vulture, which is on there. Those are all birds. Any bird you name that's not on my Pocky Island in your workbook can fly. Now let's tell a little story. I know on this bullet note, you can actually write some extra birds that you can think of that do fly. So I want to write the duck, I want to write the turkey, and something else, the American robin. So that's what I would write here because those things can fly. I would want to write anything extra that I can think of or that I've seen in my workbook that can fly. I would write that on that line. Now next, let's go to Pocky Island. Now Miss Noel likes to tell a story to help remember Pocky Island. So this is an imagination, a made-up story that I made, but it should help you remember what birds can't fly. So this is all in my head. It's an imagination, but it helps you in real life remember for your test and for real life. So once upon a time, a long time ago, and there were 5 birds on an island all alone. Well, they didn't have any predators, so they didn't have anyone to eat them. So we think they didn't have any reason to fly. Now that part is actually true. Birds that cannot fly, scientists think that they didn't have any predators, so they had no reason to fly away. They just could stay and eat their prey and have nothing else to worry about. Well, these 5 birds on Pocky Island got to live the best life ever. They didn't have anyone trying to eat them. They didn't have any predators, so they got to sit and eat Pocky all day. Now, this is not the normal Pocky. This is P-O-C-K-E because that is the name of the birds on Pocky Island. So I want you to write Pocky, color in the letters P-O-C-K-E, because that will help you remember Pocky Island. And when you're on your test and you get to a question that might say, what are the birds that can fly or what are the birds that can't fly? You can go ahead and write P-O-C-K-E, Pocky, on your paper, so that way you'll remember. So let's see, what does the P stand for? The P is for my first bird, my penguin, who could not fly. Next is for O for ostrich, that's right. Next is C for cassowary. Cassowary, that was a backwards C, my bad. Which is the most dangerous bird on the planet. And it's actually very closely related to dinosaurs. It's almost like a prehistoric bird. It's very cool. Next is the K for kiwi, one of my favorite fruits. Delicious. And last but not least is our emu. That's right, our emu. So these are the 5 birds on Pocky Island that cannot fly. The 5 birds on Pocky Island that cannot fly. My P for my penguin, my O for my ostrich, my C for my cassowary, my K for my kiwi, and my E for emu. Those are the 5 birds that cannot fly. Well, Miss Noel, if it's not on the list, then can it fly? Yes, it can. So that means swans can fly, and flamingos can fly, and gray-crowned cranes. Whoa, was that right? Gray-crowned cranes can fly. There we go. All of those birds can fly, but these 5 cannot. Now, if you are interested, there are some other birds that we didn't learn about in class that cannot fly. You can always ask a grown-up to help you look up the other birds that cannot fly. And I would love to know what you learned about those birds. Okay, so this is for the science part. So I'm going to pause the video now, and that's the end of the science. And now we're going to move on to math. That will be part 2.